Good afternoon, everyone. This is Cheng. I'm a principal solution architect at AWS. My role is to support our strategic partners in financial service industry, including banking, capital market, payment, and insurance sectors. Today, I'm excited to present how to build a digital bank on AWS. First, I will give a high-level overview of what is a digital bank, and then I will talk about why to build a digital bank on AWS and how AWS can support our customers to meet the security and the regulatory compliance requirement. Lastly, if time permits, I will share a few customers' stories, the AWS service that can enable the digital development, digital bank development, and reference architectures. Without further ado, let's start. What is a digital bank? There are many drivers given the birth of the digital bank. There's an increased consumer sophistication, the new regulations such as PSD2 in Europe and UK, and there's a more and more data and analytics driven customer need. There's a more maturity of the APIs, and they have all come together to enable the ecosystems where they can integrate with the power of technology. In this case, is really through the APIs. Following the similar moves in the UK and Europe, the financial industry participants in APAC, they are now taking concrete steps to discover why digital banking means to them. And we do see different development in the different geo regions in UK, Europe, US, and Asia Pacific. And we're going to talk about them in the later slide. What are the type of digital banks in the market? We see 4 types: challenger banks, digital bank offshoots, and banking as a service, and the digitized hybrid banks. And as you can see, we have independent startup banks and with a banking license, and that's pretty popular in Asia, and we call them challenger banks. Then we have these digital bank offshoots. Usually, they are owned by a big existing bank, such as JP Morgan Chase owns the Chase UK. That's a digital bank. And we do have companies that provide banking as a service through APIs, so the third party can develop financial apps using their APIs. Lastly, we have the incumbent banks that they are migrating to a fully digital experience. In this case, we see National Australia Bank, Capital One, for example. I want to talk about Asia specifically. Why Asia? Based on our observation, the United Kingdom and Asia, they are leading in the digital banking space. There's a survey released not a survey, I think it's a 100 digital banking ranking released in May this year. Among the top 100 global digital banks, there are 43 digital banks are located in APAC region. So what's driven the shift in the Asia Pacific? As you can see some data points on the slides. Basically, the customer are increasingly expected personalization, convenience, and enhance the user experience. And that's one of the key drivers that the adoption of the digital banking in Asia is kind of leading the rest of the world. And for example, if you as you see on the screen, the consumers in China, 80%, 87%, India, 87%, and so on and so forth. And a lot of them, they want to have their full financial experience completely on a mobile device. These are the surveys done, say, hey, to the consumers in those geo regions that if you are considering switch to a digital-only bank in 2 years, and these are the responses, and which is amazing. Now let's talk about why to build a digital banks on AWS. The technology evolves very quickly, and as you can see that yesterday's technology really cannot power today's customer needs and market development. So we need all sorts of new capabilities to meet the customer requirements, whether you're talking about serverless computing, AI machine learning, and high performance computing. You want to get out of the expensive data centers to lower the operating cost, to have a high return on ROI, and to transform your culture and become more digitally native, and to embrace the consumer behavior changes, especially after the COVID, and consumers are used to do all their financial payments, transactions over the phone or mobile devices. Yeah, personally, I do not even remember when's the last time I wrote a personal check. That's probably a very distant memory already. And lastly is to improve the business resiliency and availability. And the AWS has the tool and the service to help you meet that business continuity requirements. This is give you a few high-level overview of the benefits that why customers are building digital banks on AWS. And with the you can innovate faster. We have a 200 plus AWS service, and it can enhance the customer experience for retail banking, consumer, and the fintech partners, whichever is the use cases. You should be able to identify and from the available AWS services. Also, you can work with our partners on the AWS to deliver those customer experience. And you can retain customers, attract new customers by offering seamless, secure access to financial security. I do have a few slides coming up talking about the compliance and the security, which is crucial for any financial institutions. There's no exception for the digital bank. And this slide shows you the digital banks that they have been built on AWS. I will go through a few customer stories in the later slide, but on this slide, it just give you an idea of where are the majority of the banks are from. And as you can see, there's quite a few banks. They are located in the United Kingdom, and then with lots of banks, they are coming from APAC region. And this is really aligned with the observation we had that APAC is really leading the adoption in the digital banking experience. Security and regulatory compliance on AWS. What we observed is when regulators that examine the digital banking's benefit and risk, the challenge for the regulatory bodies is to find the right balance between supporting the innovation, but also protect the consumer interest. The regulators try to find different options and ways to balance to do a subtle balance between the customer and the financial, also manage the financial institution's risk. AWS is working hard with the customer to meet the security and the regulatory compliance requirement. And let's look at what we have, what AWS have to offer in the next few slides. Security and compliance is a shared responsibility between AWS and the customers. This shared model can help relieve customers' operational burden as AWS operates, manages, and controls the components from the host operating system all the way to the virtualized layer. And also, we manage the physical security of the facilities where this service operates. The customer is going to take the responsibility and the management of guest operating systems, including updates, security patches, and other associated application software, as well as the configuration of AWS provided security group. And we do have the best practices that for our customer, we have many enablement sessions to uplift the customer skill set in order to deliver the secure applications based on this shared responsibility model. The customer taking what we ask a customer to do is carefully consider the service they choose because it's their responsibility depending on the service used. The integration of those service into their IT environment, and based on the laws and the regulations in their particular geo region. The nature of this shared responsibility model is provides the flexibility. So the customer control what's built in the cloud and what's built off the cloud, and the AWS is responsible what's in the cloud. Yeah, these give you a list of the tools and the service that can help you to meet the security and the compliance requirement. This is not the exhaustive list, but just give you idea that we have a broad set of tools so that you can utilize to meet your security and compliance need. The cloud security, again, probably you hear this many times that this is the highest priority. At the job zero, it often referred as job zero. As an AWS customer, you will benefit from a data center and a network architecture to build and in order to meet the requirements of the most security sensitive organizations. For example, the spy agency from United Kingdom, they are AWS customer, and we have a very good collaboration. So this kind of give you an idea of how the AWS can meet the customer requirement, even if they are in a very secure, sensitive environment. The advantage of the AWS cloud is really to allow the customer to scale and innovate while maintaining a secure environment. Customer, you only pay what's the service they need, meaning that you can have the security you need, but you do not have upfront cost to implement the security. And compared to if you operating your banking operations on-prem. This gives you a list of the compliance programs and from different regulatory bodies all over the world. The AWS has a compliance program which help customer to understand the robust controls in AWS in order to maintain security and compliance in the cloud. By tying together the governance-focused, audit-friendly service features with the compliance or auditing standard. The AWS compliance enable basically we support all the traditional auditing programs and helping the customer to establish and operate in an AWS securely controlled environment. We do have a very sophisticated list of various compliance program, and each AWS service, which compliance program those AWS service is subject to, you can browse the AWS website to find those information very easily. Okay, now let's talk about some customer success stories. I'll just give you a brief overview of different type of use cases in the digital banking space. First of all, WeLab Bank. This is a bank based in headquartered in Hong Kong. It's a fully digital bank, and I believe it's rolled out in 2019. And in this use case, it used the Temenos Transact, which is with a very famous and popular core banking software. And the Temenos is a strategic partner, is a partner of AWS, and the two companies have a global relationship to run the Temenos onboarding and origination solutions on AWS. The collaboration really allowed the retail and the commercial banks to provide digital onboarding and origination solutions with high performance, scalability, and security. And it really gives the bank the great agility to reduce the time to market. So this is a use case that for core banking and using our partners' banking software called Temenos Transact. You probably are very familiar with that name. Then the second use case is really, this is a challenger bank use case. As we described the challenger bank, we typically categorize them as a startup in the digital bank that they got a digital banking license and they are fully online only. So in this use case, what we want to highlight is the bank this bank grows. It's a UK bank, and it grows tremendously. And very soon, it realized that its existing IT infrastructure just cannot keep up with the business growth. And so Tandem Bank worked with the AWS. They migrate all their initial set of the servers and all the customer accounts to AWS just in a weekend, just one weekend, and without a glitch. So this really shows you that working with AWS, how can you really speed up the migration and have the great cloud adoption experience and to gain the skill and the agility. Just imagine if you keep your operation on-prem, and how can you gain the scalability and agility by managing all the undifferentiated infrastructure heavy lifting yourself, right? So this is one example. Then the other example I want to show you here is for the customer who want to stand up a digital banking from scratch using native AWS services. And so this is one example. It's a bank in Vietnam. And as the title suggests, that it developed a digital-only bank in just 10 months. And we had, by working with AWS, looking at all the tool set, for example, the landing zone, set up your initial AWS environment from dev to production, and give you various architecture review and recommendations in terms of your workloads. And in this case, this Vietnam bank customers that they have the workloads in and data analytics, machine learning, containers, and then they're working with AWS team, and they be able to complete the journey in 10 months. This is a really amazing story. Now, in the next few slides, I'm not going to go through very detailed, but I want to give you a high-level overview of the set of the AWS services that you can leverage to implement your digital banking. And as you can see on this slide, that in different capabilities and the different use cases, right? So we have the broadest set of services that can help our customer to meet the workload requirement, whether you're talking about customer engagement, artificial intelligence, or machine learning. You are implemented a data lake. I think especially post-COVID, right? The data growth, I think it's really exponential. And we have a lot of customers building data lake on AWS, and we're able to separate the tight integration dependency between the compute and storage, so you can have unlimited data growth by building a data lake on AWS. And moving to the next slide. And one service I really want to highlight, which is a critical part of the building the digital banking experience, which is called Amazon Connect. You may heard this service. This is a really AWS offering that it's an omni-channel cloud contact center, which can help you stand up a call center like in a very short amount of duration, and all you need is really a headset and a stable connection to the uplink network connection to the AWS network. So it's really helped the company to provide a superior customer service at a very low cost. And not to mention, this is the very same technology the Amazon retail business use for their customer call center. At the in Amazon, or what we discovered is the traditional contact center technology, they are not able to scale. The technology we're looking for is really to provide you the scalability that many customer is trying to secure. And we know using our knowledge and experience by operating the Amazon retail business, we build a easy to use, intuitive system that enable the Amazon customer service associate to focus their attention on the customer rather than navigating a complex, difficult to use systems. And they supervise a simple tool to manage the staff and their business, that any customer escalations that the manager can be brought in almost in real time, and also has the artificial machine learning capabilities that, for example, it can tell the in real time if a customer is happy during his conversation with the customer service representatives. The reason I want to bring here is the Customer Connect is it's an upstream system that can give our banking customers a comprehensive view of customer data. Sometimes you heard a term called of Customer 360. So, and then when all these data is collected in real time based on the conversation with the customer, then your downstream analytical capability can be integrated seamlessly to identify the customer behaviors. And then the next one is really about
Cheng,
yes,
we're almost 10 minutes over. So if you can try and summarize, I don't want to have to cut short your AWS colleagues. If you just
okay, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and so probably let me probably take 2 more minutes to wrap it up. And so I want to show you a few slides for the reference architecture. First of all, when we're working with any banking customers, we work with them to develop this functional domain architecture. And so, as you can see on the screen, whether you are talking about payment, you're talking about lending, you're talking about mortgage, you're talking about analytics. So these are the business domain architectures that we work together with our customer. Then based on these business capabilities, then what we do is we provide a logical architecture diagram is how you can use AWS services or our partners' technology to implement those capabilities that maps to your business requirements. And lastly, this is a high-level overview of what are the services available to deliver a digital banking experience. And these are all the AWS service native service you can use. Then lastly, these are all the partners that they have the workload on AWS, has a relationship with us to help our customer to implement the digital banking experience if they do have the existing relationship or they're developing new relationship with our partners. Yeah, I apologize that I think it's given the interest of time, I'm not able to provide a complete overview of the digital banking experience with AWS as I expected. But if you have any questions, feel free to find me on LinkedIn, and any questions, just send along.